Well, thank you very much, Pyra. And I'd say a little bit of an upset here, or a big upset. A lot of people going into this had pinned the Misfits as absolute favorites, but they lost quite harshly here in the very first game.
One of those people was me, and I'm incredibly surprised by this turn of events. OG, I think I overestimated Misfits by a decent margin, but also OG showed up way more than I expected them to. Power of Evil's Cassio was absolutely on point, and it was a pretty great performance from
Well, we're going to take a look at some stats in a minute. Usually we saw those stats of Misfits always being ahead in Challenger, and then here it was, well, different for them. They were behind. What do you guys think went wrong for them in the beginning, or did OG do well? Maybe Mickey?
I think OG just outplayed them, and I think they had a better draft as well.
What specifically in the draft?
I think the bot lane matchup, I think Thresh wasn't that good of a pick. I would rather pick something like Bart or maybe Taric. And then the mid lane matchup, I think Cassio is the favorite in that matchup. Should win against Vladimir. Even though his build was a bit questionable, I think I would build Morello rather than Rod of Ages against Vladimir. And the Gnar build was quite interesting too. He built Executioner's Calling, like first item. So yeah, that was pretty interesting, but I think it's okay.
The biggest problem for Misfits this game is that if they don't snowball the laning phase, the way they're going to approach the game is kind of hard, because on one side they have Trundle losing to Gnar in the split, and then if Cassio follows Vladimir on side lane, Cassio can pressure the Vlad as well, and then they have the pressure of the Ashe and the Gragas in mid to always make the play, whereas so OG can always be proactive if they don't fall behind in the early game, and I think they were very clever to just push out their duo lane and then swap. And then they got this tower. They took one tower more than Misfit did in the swap. So I think OG are just showing what I was expecting from this game, is that they are overall smarter than Misfit and can just win the game by being smarter in draft and play, and don't have to face them as maybe better individuals.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard here, as we look at some images from the beginning of the game and of OG coming ahead, that you said that Amazing wasn't having the greatest game in the beginning, though. How did he pick it back up, or in hindsight, did he do
I think he was just prioritizing. He was not playing efficient, and he was falling a little bit behind in CS, but he caught up again, because OG were just a team that were proactive in the game, because they have so many more tools to pick fights when they want to, with the Ashe, with the Gragas, etc. Where Misfits, the only really reliable engage they have is like Trundle Pillar, Thresh Hook, and Rek'Sai W, and that's really hard to do, honestly. So I think a lot of it will just come down to draft, and I think OG played it well, and they just seem to not be afraid to pull the trigger, and I think that really matters in a series like this, where Misfits, maybe they were a little bit afraid in a way. They didn't push the advances in the laning phase.
It kind of reminds me of more teams, like you guys also in the spring split. You guys were slower on a lot of occasions as well. Is that something that you just take a while to adapt to, pulling the trigger?
Honestly, I think for us, it's just about trusting each other. I think we trust each other so much that if someone says we're gonna go now, then we will go. And sometimes that is Mickey's like, look guys, I got a sick bottle, and then we will just go in, you know. So I don't know what you think.
When we look at
yeah, I agree with that.
Didn't want to cut you off there. Got to get a
Synergy.
chance to jump in. But I want to ask you guys, playing in a best of 5 like this, losing out on game 1, Misfits are a pretty young team. Do you think that they can come back, adapt, and be more successful in the following game, or do you think this is a breaking point for a younger team?
So from my experience with this, from what I've predicted for this series was that no, I think whoever was gonna do well in the beginning of this series is gonna take it home. So I'm not gonna just kill the series, you know, but there's always hope.
Let's hope for guys go home.
No, but I think OG, if they keep playing like this and draft like this, I don't think Misfit will come back.
But that's where it is. If they keep playing like this and keep drafting like this. Yesterday, Roccat was ahead, and then they drafted Sona mid in second game, and now they're playing Schalke. So can you tell us what happened over on that screen?
Well, Roccat continued to be unpredictable, and we're going to look at this first blood coming in here, and you can just see them already starting off with some proactive moves into the mid lane. Now, Trashy, we talked a little bit about this as you see Fox drop down here. What do you think went wrong for Fox here? How are Schalke able to pull this off?
So first of all, it's props to Memento for actually pulling the trigger on the gank. It's a good setup for the gank. But all Kassadin want to do against this is just get to 6 and be safe. And if you have the slightest think that, like, if you think that this gank is gonna come, you just need to flash preemptively and just sit under the tower and wait for 6, and then you should be fine, even if your flash is down. So it's kind of the story of Fox, where he's always a bit too aggressive in lane, and if you can punish him and Schalke starts falling behind, then they just crumble.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as we go through the rest of these replays, you can see Fox running for his life appears to be the story of this game. Gets behind in the early game and never really gets an opportunity to come back. But talking to you, Mickey, Betsy in these team fights looked nearly unstoppable at every stage of the game.
Yeah, he played the team fights insane. I agree. He was like 1v9 in these team fights, and Barang played pretty good Gangplank as well. And yeah.
Why is this happening now? Why are they like, they can show games like this against Schalke, and they went 2-2 obviously, but they racked up so many losses in the summer split. What do you think happened?
I think they just brought momentum from yesterday, and they just seem to want it more. Maybe I'm not sure. Like I don't know how the mental state of Schalke is. So I don't know. For me, if I had to predict it, I would say that from this crushing win they had, they're just gonna take the series, because I don't see Schalke coming back.
Haha, but this is the promotion tournament. It always turns into 5 games in Silver Scrapes. That's gonna happen.
That's the beauty of this. Like, I love this tournament, because you never know what's gonna happen. And I played this tournament so much, and that's why I love it. And that's why I want to be here on the desk with you guys talking.
Wow, I mean, yeah.
All right,
awesome.
I like it.
And I really want to see some Bard, by the way, because it was pick Norband again, and we have the expert Mickey, so we'll see what happens. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll have Game 2 between Origen and Misfits. Stay with us, because before we go, we'll hear Xpeke look back at Origen's troubled summer split.